Afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Into the Vale. Great to have you here. Great to be here. You know, we wanted to check out the gifts that we left for Sobey and Bitey. We have not been back there as we wanted to give them some time. And also had gotten into a fascinating conversation with Mercury 80 about whether EMF detectors would work as well during the day with these individuals as they do at night. So we thought we would test those waters. Got a comment or two I'd like to respond to, and just enjoying a beautiful day. So come on along with us and let's see what we've got. Okay, so we are almost to the mound. And if I'm not mistaken, I've got a small foot here. I have toes. So I would say one of the babies. Lots of little scuffs and whatnot. A lot of times we talk about their desire for balance, balance for us, balance for them. We've got this great balanced log, little one. We have a couple of things going on back here. I was looking to see if there were any more of these. But right here I noticed a lot of times elementals will build small structures like this. And we hadn't talked a lot about elementals here lately, but this is the type of structure that they will often build, and I do not recall this. Get up here and we will get everything set up with the EMF detector. This one's new. So they're marking, you know, a lot of times these X's, if it's a whole territory that they're marking against other Sasquatch or things like this, a lot of times they'll be on the standing, say on the edge of a woods or roadway or places like this. But we've also noticed that they will often use them even in their own space to kind of delineate that this is their spot, or a spot that would be designated to them, because oftentimes, although we might not see sound evidence of it, elementals and Sasquatch keep separate space within reason, and they will work together. It's not a hateful thing. Alright, and then this is where we left, well, gifts. I'd brought out the lapis egg, Shiva lingam, I believe it was a piece of rose quartz, and a gemstone tree. And this is still here, but the rocks, if I'm not mistaken, this is new. The rocks were stacked and now they're laid out, so I'm going to leave them just like they are. And I guess they got their goodies. So hopefully they enjoyed those. Just kind of looking around, seeing if there's any structural changes. But we're going to set up the EMF detector, and give us just a minute and we'll be right back. Okay, guys. So I've asked if Anku would join us. Where you at, buddy? Over here. Okay. And there are others behind, all over. Thank you. Please stop. Okay. So the first thing I would like, this was going crazy, and every time a word comes up, the first thing we were greeted with was the word neighbors. And couldn't be more accurate. And there are a couple other words that were coming through, but we were in the midst of talking and I have not yet researched. I'm sure they're all relevant, and you guys are more than welcome to use that. You are not interrupting. Okay? So one of the comments that I'd gotten from Mr. Bruce was, he had asked if Anku was trying to let them experience good people because perhaps they've run into bad humans. And the second part of this was, can they see each other when they're cloaked, as we call it, and does a council write the rules for them? So agreeably, a lot to learn. I'll set this back here. Okay, Anku. And so I'm hearing adventure. His question was, he said it's all about the balance. Yes, they have had negative experiences. You're behind me now? Okay, thank you. And I can feel him. I'm bumpy from head to toes, so I feel like he's right behind me with his hands either on my shoulders or just resting somewhere, because I'm just showered in goosebumps. Thank you. He said yes. So the first part of the question was if perhaps in the balance of things you I'm kind of hearing him saying it as I'm thinking it. So a lot of times you'll find they will answer your question before you've even gotten it out of your mouth. We've had that happen on EVPs a lot. So the balance in having good experience to counterbalance perhaps more negative or uncomfortable experiences. And he agrees. He's taking me back to, there was a period of time, he said, when he was very young, perhaps, is it 5 I'm hearing? I know you're back there. And he was about 5, 4, almost 5. And we've had a lot. This is a Black Hawk flying over, so I'm taking a short pause to let it. I've had a lot of flyovers today. And I did bring my phone. So, do the math. It's okay, guys. We'll wait. We've got time. That was an emphatic yes on my heart. So if you will signal when it's safe, please. Okay. Thank you. So, he's taking me to a time when he was 4, almost 5, I hear. And I'm getting the sense that is it baby sister? That he had a baby sister. Her name sounds very much like Starla. Is that correct? And I'm feeling that she virtually was taken at, was she 2? Was she 3? Almost 3. She was almost 3. About 2.5. And she disappeared. For some reason, I'm getting the sense that she got away from Daphne, his mother. Now, at the moment, I'm not getting validation as to whether it was human, other. It feels like it was directed by other energies, but that humans were involved. So I'm not exactly sure what that's about. It may be worth extra questioning. But what I do understand is that she was taken. And I don't feel she made it long without her mother. They did attempt to locate her, he said. Something about barriers, where she was inaccessible, energetic barriers. So this is where the part that's not human feels like it's in place. There are a few things that they cannot get past, but there's something about this that gives me the sense that she was, because I feel like I'm seeing something inside a place. Regardless, she didn't make it long and they lost her. He's saying Mark and Daphne. Hello, Daphne. Come join us. Maybe you can help me. He's saying Mark and Daphne, like anyone would, their first response would have been naturally some sense of getting even, or retribution is the word he gives me. But Mark, most of all, understood retribution was not the answer, as tempting as it was. And I get the sense that he asked, it's almost this feeling of prayer or focused thought that he asked specifically that her death would not be in vain, that it could be turned into something good. And I sense that's when he got the idea for this project, although there's been some time, but understand they don't work with time the way we do. But I get the sense that he got the idea that the family could experience the better side of man also. And that much of this has been an adventure, as they call it, correct? Can you confirm, please? I feel like something just entered the space. What's going on, guys? Caution. Where are we at? Yeah, the neighbor's plot hound started going crazy. Yeah. Shielding. And I immediately felt them step back, and it felt like they were, I don't know, checking something out, or something felt off all of a sudden. Not dangerous per se, but off. Okay, are we good? Okay. Thank you. Thank you for checking. So, what I do understand is that Mark wanted Starla's absence to matter, that he wanted it to account for something, and somehow or another it began this whole process. And that much of our experience, wow, they are really going nuts over there. Much of our experience has very much been connected to that, and enabling these to see that it's not always that way. Is that correct? Who's here, please? Hi. Junior? Sobe. You're welcome. I feel he was coming up to thank us for their gifts. I hope you're very happy, brother. So, with that said, yes, this experience is intentionally to show them a better version of humanity with all hope. And in return, they also would be those helpers and friends to kind of, it's an exchange. It's an exchange to not only educate them, us, you, but it's a way for them to exchange for what we're willing to do to help fulfill what Mark's vision was. So another part of that question was, do they get permission from the council? Anku agrees, yes, they do. He calls it a grand council. Above even the leaders of these. And it feels like it very much, almost everything that they do has to pass a level of approval in order to be not only safe, but also to be in line with, say, our higher good, your higher good, and our paths. It's very connected to path working. So there are a number of things that sometimes they have to wait on to implement or to do until they know that it's not interfering with our specific path working. Okay. And the last part of that question, I'm sorry. Whoop. Can they see each other when they are what we call cloaked? Anku says absolutely. Absolutely. Energetically speaking, they're in their essence. What we call cloaked is actually them being in their essence, and that very much it's they can easily communicate, see each other, because all facets of who they are elevated at that point, and they're all sharing that vibration. Okay. So yeah, it looks like they are fully aware of each other as well as us, and it's only hide and seek from us. He's laughing. So I think that we found out that as a rule the EMF detector does work during the day. Probably won't bring it out here often during the daytime. I do thank Mercury 80 for having that conversation with me and allowing me the thought to validate that with these individuals. It's interesting sometimes to see the difference in families and clans, and each does have its distinct personality about it. Okay, Anku. You know, Ken was speaking of the repercussions of if you guys were to show yourselves fully on video. I am aware. He's saying he was listening as we were talking. Is that accurate, that there would be repercussion, or that it would be dangerous to show yourselves while on video particularly? Primarily, they have an easier time or a safer time showing themselves in their essence or orbs, or we've had them show up. In fact, a couple videos back, he walked right in front of the table I was sitting at, and I wasn't aware that it was visible, but as it turned out, you can see him. I was sensing that he wanted the chair that was on my right, and just as I had invited him to sit, you can see the form, and it's very white. But so in your essence, you can show up readily. And would that be more for our safety than yours? No? For both? Okay. There will come a day when it won't be such an issue. But today is not that day. We wish it were so. Us too. But we understand. Do you have any questions? So, you know, we all would love to be able to have that sit down that gives us the sensation of a one-on-one. But realistically speaking, it is very one-on-one, whether they are in their energetics and standing right with us or walking with us, sometimes being present there at the house. We like the satisfaction of being able to see very solidly. Yeah, and when we're out here without the camera, there is a greater level of presence. I've kind of noticed that they can be their shadow form is very easy for them to maintain, and it gives a greater view for us, as he's saying, a greater view for us, but it's not putting them in the density of the physical 3D world. And he said it is correct. It does take a certain amount of energy for them to be physical, especially the older ones. The younger ones, they have less control over that, and they're kind of in and out. He compares it to those of you that are, he said some of you travel easily in your spiritual state, whether that's through dream time or daydreaming, or maybe you're taking a nap, even driving. Oh, he said many of you do this, you become transient, and you're very much traveling and crossing dimensional barriers, whether you realize it or not. If you start paying attention to yourself, some of you visit each other. If you're concerned and you can't be there, you will use a portion of your energy to be there and just feel and see that everything is okay. And so he said it's not as uncommon as you think. It's just that we practice it in, I feel like he's saying in a more real way, whereas ours is less intentional. Theirs is more intentional. But that, you know, it's, he also is reminding me of a conversation that I had with a dear friend about, she said that she, oftentimes if she's struggling, she senses me when she sees a butterfly or occasionally a dragonfly. She said, and I just feel like it's you. And it didn't really have proper word, but I understood what she meant. And he actually is confirming that in the same way that they would use nature, say birds or certain wildlife, we also, if we are traveling, oftentimes will take on the essence of, it's sort of like I feel like it's almost like a spiritual, a totem? Totem, is that what you're saying? Feels very much like a totem animal or something that we share an energetic connection with. But they too will often do this. If they can't be their physical self, they can reasonably combine, I feel like he's saying combine their energy with facets of nature, animals, weather, different things to make a point or to be more present to us on a visual level. It's kind of interesting. Is that correct? Okay. Okay. So we will leave it there, and I thank you for being here. I'm glad to see you. Hopefully we'll be able to do the live soon. Still doing sessions. If you'd like to book one of those, feel free to email me. Ken's also able to still do the rods, and we are still shipping ormas. Trying to think what else. Busy summer. Grateful to see fall. Hoping things will get back in gear with the channels. And please do leave your comments and questions below. When we do the live, I would absolutely invite each and every one of you. What I have agreed upon is that we really don't get into depths of religion or depths of politics. It oftentimes will just create a lot of wrinkles and kerfluffles for a lot of people, and those are the two areas that I don't indulge in. However, there's not a lot else that isn't able to be explored as long as Anku and the family are willing to participate. So thank you again. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.